Well, good morning everyone and welcome to this week's farming programme. If you can hear the background noises apart from the traffic that's going past Bollalise on Thursday afternoon after the practices, you will hear the unmistakable call of lambs that for the time being, for this afternoon at least, have been separated from their mothers, because today is shearing day with us. Always towards the end of May, sometimes into early June, we do go through this job of shearing. It's all done now in a relatively short time. In fact, on our place, I think it was all completed in about 4 hours, which is quite remarkable when you think that some time ago we used to gather the sheep in the corner of a field, sharpen the joush on an oil stone, clip maybe a dozen, 15 maybe, put the wool into a wool sheet on a trailer, take it home to go back and do the same thing day after day until the job was done. Those days, I can tell you, are now long gone. And today, as I say, we bring in a contract team. We gather the sheep, we separate the lambs off, shed the lambs off, gather the sheep in a shed. The contractor, in our case Danny Creer, and his team brought their trailer, set up 3 shearers, and we had the help of 1 wrapper as well, and we did some wrapping ourselves too. But the main job was keeping the sheep fed up the pens to the shearers, who do this remarkable job in a remarkably short time. Anybody that's done any shearing will know that it is a back-breaking job. Usually done some of the hottest weather of the year, a very, very taxing job indeed, and I salute those of our farming fraternity who undertake this job year in, year out. Some of our locals, some follow the sun and travel from New Zealand and Australia to join the Manx shearing teams here to clip on the Isle of Man. I should think we're just about at the beginning of the shearing season now. I don't see too many sheep clipped in the fields, but some of our sheep were beginning to lose their wool, so we decided that we would clip them. And listening to Danny and his comments as he was clipping was that yes, it wasn't too difficult to clip them and the timing was about right. Maybe tomorrow, that'll be Friday, if the weather is anywhere decent at all, these sheep and lambs will be drenched. They'll be marked with our blue mark, and then they'll be away then to their summer quarters high on the hill, where they'll stay probably until August, when the lambs will be weaned and brought down again for fattening down on the lower ground. But it was quite a busy day, a good clip of wool, and the job was well done. But before Danny left, I managed to catch up with him and just have a few words with him. Well, here in the shed where we were shearing on Thursday afternoon, the unmistakable sound of 3 shearers at work, very, very efficiently. The job is almost complete now. It's nearly 5 o'clock and started at 1 o'clock, and they've clipped a lot of sheep here this afternoon for us, and done a super job, as they do every year. Danny Creer's just let just about his last sheep go, and the sweat was actually dropping off the end of his nose. Danny, this is a back-breaking job. Why do you do it?
Oh, I enjoy it, John.
Is that true?
Oh, I always like clipping. Yeah.
Do you?
Yeah.
Clipping has changed, hasn't it?
Yeah, I've been shearing for 22 years now.
Have you really?
Yeah.
Did you ever
23 years.
Did you ever clip with the hand shears?
Only in the competitions and some late ones.
You did that? You have used them?
Yeah, every year. Maybe do 50 a year with the hand shears.
Right, but this has changed dramatically now, hasn't it?
Yeah.
You're very highly organised.
Oh, you've got to be, John, to get through the numbers of sheep that we've got to shear every year. Like, yeah.
How many about in the year will you clip? An awful lot?
A lot, yeah.
So how does your back stand? Because it's a back-breaking job, isn't it?
It seems to stand up to it every year. I think I'm getting smaller every year, but no, I stand up fairly well. I haven't never had any back trouble much.
Right.
Yeah.
And the method you use, has that changed at all? Do you use the bone method? Is this what you?
Yeah, we're more or less on the bone method, but these fellas now like shear a lot better than I do. Like, you know, they're taught to a lot higher standard. Like, they like to call it the New Zealand method of shearing, like, rather than the bone method. Like.
So you've got 3 with you. You've got 2 clipping with you, and one girl wrapping. Yeah. So who have you got with you this year?
Well, Edward there, he's not a Kiwi really. a Mongolian, like.
Right.
He's got a degree in agricultural engineering, and he's just wanted to learn to shear. So
he's doing very, very well.
Yeah. He's done a few last year, like, and he's going shortly back to Mongolia to do a degree in economics. Like.
Is he really?
Yeah.
Do you think you'll have learned anything here on the Isle of Man with us?
Well, he's learned how to shear.
And he's going sheep for sheep with the steer, though, isn't he? He's doing very, very well.
He's very good, very tidy, like what he does. Like. Yeah.
So you'll have a good overview of the sheep in the island, Danny, as you go around.
Yeah.
This year, what's the season like? What's the clip like this year?
The sheep are clipping very well. Like, you know, most of the places, everywhere we go, the sheep are well managed, and there seems to be a good crop of lambs this time. Like, you know, the sheep have wintered well. Like.
Well, it was a good winter. It was a good open winter, wasn't it?
Nice rise in the wool, like.
I was hearing Arthur saying as they were wrapping here that probably there's not quite as much wool on the sheep, but maybe that's because we didn't have such a cold winter.
Possibly, yeah.
That they didn't grow the fleece that may have done a colder winter.
Yeah.
So the season, where are you in it? Are you just starting? Or you...
I suppose we're about a fifth of the way through. Just about. If we get another 3 or 4 days, we're getting like a fifth of the way through, and another fortnight we'll be halfway through.
How do you manage then? I mean, sheep won't clipping this time of the year. All the lowland sheep. Do you have a big waiting list?
No, not bad. We got be between 5 and 6 of us shearing, depending on the need. Like, and between myself and my sister. No, we seem to keep things going fairly well. Like. Yeah.
And the weather is critical, isn't it?
Well, the weather's been a bit tough this time, but you know, we've managed. Like, and a lot of the farmers are very good. They shut the sheep inside for us.
Well, that's one thing now. There are sheep sheds now. We can get sheep inside, and maybe overnight on slats as well. And keep them quite clean.
Yeah, and the mobile phone. As soon as the sheep are dry, you know. So.
The only problem that we find here is you have to shed the lambs off. Makes the job a lot easier.
Oh yes.
You've really got to get it done in a day, haven't you?
Yeah. Well, that's the reason why people get us in, really. So the job is done one day. Finished. Like, there's no staff on the farms,
but I was saying earlier that was very different once upon a time. You go to the field and doing 20 or 30 sheep and coming home and doing the same tomorrow.
Oh yeah, well, still people in the Isle of Man do that, but they're getting fewer every year. The people that shear their own, and the age profile of the farmers is probably going up. And if the truth is known, there's probably less sheep getting shorn every year. Like, you know.
Now, every year you put this shearing team together. In fact, a couple of teams together.
Yeah.
Do you get the same people coming with you each year, or do you have to recruit people, and is that difficult?
They're either, mostly the people, they're either the same people or people that's been recommended by the people that was here the year before. Like, Warren, the other fella's shearing today. He's on holiday. Really, he's just sheared in America.
On holiday?
Yeah, this is a holiday.
Not much of a holiday.
He's just been sheared in America there for 6 weeks, and he's on his way up to the World Champs at the Highland Show. Like,
do these fellas follow the sun? Do
they follow the sheep? Like, Warren
follow the season.
Yeah, he'll maybe start here in May. He'll shear here maybe for 2 months or something, and then he'll head off. Well, he's going to go to the World Champs at the Highland Show, and then on to Australia, back to New Zealand around Christmas, and then sometime around March he'll go to America, and maybe he'll come back here again into the UK next May again.
So he does this all the time for a living?
Year round, yeah.
Now, you were saying earlier, you've got a good overview of the sheep industry. The sheep numbers are going down in the island, Danny. Why do you think that is?
It's just the downturn in farming, really, John. I would say that the Isle of Man is getting destocked, like, without a doubt. There's less stock getting kept. Like, there's no help on the farms. I don't think people aren't making any money. They're only subsisting. Like, there's no enthusiasm is getting lost out of the job. Like, you know, the farmers are the only fellas that's taking less every year. Like, you know.
One of the things that will show itself in, though, a lot of people think we'll have a green countryside if we pay people to conserve it, but
it'll be quite the opposite.
It will, won't it?
Yeah, it'll be quite the opposite without the farmers and farmed and livestock. Like,
the livestock is what keeps the fields green.
Yeah, it'll become barren, like, and white and unattractive, like.
Yeah. And you were saying earlier, you know, talking about, I think that's the last sheep going out. You were talking earlier about the farming system on the island, the way things are changing and numbers going down. But we have lost the balance, haven't we?
I would say we have, like, you know, even, well, outside like our own industry there, the dairy men seem to be dropping off hard, like, and going into the beef. Well, you know, at some point it's going to put something out of balance somewhere, like.
Yeah.
I would, you know, maybe it's just my opinion, but I do think the sheep numbers are dropping, like, you know. But the sheep, like, the price we're getting for receiving for the lamb is it's dropped over the years, like, and, you know, people just can't keep taking less all the time, like, you know.
The pity of it is, and the housewives listening to this will say that the price hasn't dropped to them in the shop.
They think it's the whinging farmers again, but you know, it's not really. It's the way it is, like. But some of the problems is, you know, it's worldwide, really. It's not just.
That's right.
Confined to the Isle of Man, like,
but it hits us hard here on an island, doesn't it?
Yeah,
because we've got an island situation, one abattoir and one creamery.
And less farmers all the time, like,
So do you see this pattern changing then, the family farm, like, that we've known, you know, with every parish having 20 or 30 farmers in it? That's already changed.
That's days gone, I'm afraid, like, you know, it's, you know, progress or whatever else you want to call it, but it's, no, we seem to have moved on to point, you know, but the only thing you do see when you're going around about, like, nearly all our customers are local people, Manx people, like, and you know, the Manx people seem to have kept a hold of their farms, you know, a lot of them yet anyhow still farming the land, like, you know, the Manx people have a real feeling for the land as well, like, you know. I
think a lot of people don't understand that, do they?
No.
How attached you do become to the land, your farm, and and it's something that's very, very deep in as you say. Well, I think it's in farmers everywhere, but particularly Manx people, I think.
The Manx people, you know, very proud of the heritage and, you know, the length of time some families have been in farms.
Well, that's like, right, and your own family in particular, you know, generations of it in farming, and just around this area, in fact.
Yeah, and we, you know, one place we shared, the people have been in the place for over 500 years, like.
Are they really?
Same family, like, you know.
Still there?
Still there, and absolutely top farmers, wonderful stock at them,
Yeah. I've a good idea where you are. We note those sort of people.
Yeah.
But Danny, you just finished. Everything's gone quiet here behind us now. You've got a lot of tidying up to do and load your trailer.
Yeah.
And you'll be heading off now. It's pushing for 6 o'clock. What will you do now? Will you call it a day now?
No, we'll do a few more now, John. Only started at dinner time, so.
Well, I'll not hold you up then, Danny. Thank you for a super job. Nice to see the wool sheet all full. Sheep gone out. Our job now to mark them and dose them on the way to the hill.
Right, thank you very much.
Thanks, John. Danny. Now, on this programme, many and many a time, you'll have heard us talk about the change that's taken place in agriculture. And indeed, changes are taking place, quite dramatic changes like the industry probably has never seen before. And the systems of farming are changing, the attitude to farming is changing, and farmers are being encouraged to diversify and make use of whatever assets they may have. Now, one of the assets on a farm is the farm buildings. And if you go around the island now, on many an island farm, the slate-roofed, stone-built buildings are no longer regarded as viable farm buildings. Well, ask yourself, would you like to go in there with a wheelbarrow and a shovel to clean them out each morning? Those days are gone. Would you like to, on a hot day, lift bales of hay up into lofts and stack inside there in those conditions? No, indeed, those days have gone as well. So these buildings now are very largely redundant, and farmers are having to decide what to do with them. Now, earlier this week, my wife and I went with several others to view some buildings at a farm at the Cool, a farm that's been noted in the past for its very, very high-profile farming, I may say, with several awards both for grassland management and for milk production, the farm of Colooneys, where Raymond and Vivian Teare farm. And they've had such a range of buildings as I've described. And they've dealt with them in a very, very efficient way. Raymond, could you tell us what you've actually done with your buildings? Quite a range of buildings.
Well, we've converted them into holiday cottages, 3 of them, and made them top end of the market basis.
I know, I've been around them. You really went for quality, didn't you?
Yes, we did. We went for basically a top end of the market, really.
Raymond, how long have you used these buildings then? And tell us a little bit about what they were used for when they were purpose-built.
Well, half the building was a mill. And the other half was a stable. And those horses, I can remember 6 horses tied up in it. And then the other side, there was 10 cows milked with milk machines, and the loft above. So that's been there. We've been here since 1935, and we've been in milk since that time.
So how long now behind these buildings and up on what is now essentially another farmyard is a full range of modern buildings? Are these buildings or were they any use agriculturally?
No, they were obsolete, basically. All that was in them was a few calves, and they were completely out of use.
So what was going to happen to them then if you wouldn't have done something now?
Oh, they'd have come down over a period of time. The roof would have come off it, and it would have been all levelled off, basically.
And yet they're very sound stone buildings, aren't they? And as far as I can see, very structurally very, very sound with good stone walls and slate roofs.
Yes, there's half the roof made up of Manx slates, where they're about 3 feet square.
Right.
And the other half is the standard 20 by 10s.
Yeah.
But it's just quite good, actually.
So how did the thought ever first occur to you then? Were you standing looking at them one evening perhaps and thought we could do something with these, or was it something essential that you had to do?
Well, we looked at it 20 years ago, actually. Stuart Nixon, the architect, and we went through it 20 years ago and had a look at it about converting it into holiday accommodation then. But farming was pretty good at the time, and we didn't have the cash at the time, so it was abandoned for the time being. But it's come round now that farming is not so good, and we've had to make a move onto something else.
How difficult was it? Did you have a picture in your mind of what you thought these buildings would turn out to be?
Well, yes, you've really got to have in your mind what you're looking for before you start, and then you work towards that. You give a bit of the architect gets your ideas from you, and he then puts it into plans and what have you.
And were you and the architect always able to agree? Was he able to accommodate what you wanted, or did you have some debate about that?
No, he was pretty good, actually. I got no complaints about the architect. He'd done a good job.
And so then, on a sort of a practical point of view, how easy or how difficult was it to sort of bring about your plans and your dreams for these buildings?
Well, actually, doing the building wasn't too bad. It was the planning and the regulations, and
really,
you've got the government ministers come up with the idea, and they say, "Oh, this is a very good idea. We'll support that." And then when you get back down to the civil servants, they're blocking it as hard as they can, so that every time you make a move, they've got an objection.
I thought we had joined up government.
Not what I've seen of it.
That's rather a pity, isn't it? Because I thought the thrust really was now to help people to diversify and also to support the tourist industry.
Well, my experience is there's very little support. I've had no government support whatsoever, basically.
But there is a government grant available for this.
There's a government grant, but it's not really a grant because what they want is to put a mortgage on your land for 15 years, which is no good to anybody. It just sterilises the farm for 15 years, basically.
So you didn't avail yourself of the grant then?
No, it was going to tie things up for too long, and
Right.
I would have thought that a grant was a grant, but this is a grant with strings attached.
Yes, yeah.
So it's really no good to farmers.
No. So actually, you did this yourself, and you virtually got a free hand now, and all you're tied by is planning conditions, I suppose.
Yes, that's all. Yes.
What about doing this on a working farm? Because today I know you're chopping silage here today, and I've just pinched you off the chopper for a few minutes. How easily does this lie in a working farm?
Well, it's not too bad actually, because we take the visitors in Saturdays. It's Saturday, so we've got 3-4 hours to sort it out on a Saturday morning.
And I suppose really looking at the layout of the two, you virtually have two farmyards now, or there were. This lies quite separate from your farming operation, doesn't it?
Yes, it's completely independent with a separate entrance, and there's nobody coming onto the working farm. They're all separate.
What about landscaping and roundabout then? Some farmyards might lend themselves to landscaping, others that I know probably at home wouldn't. How did you cope with that?
Yes, it's the landscape, and it just put it in. There's trees all around the place, and we just put a lawn down among the trees for everybody.
Well, you've done it very successfully, because now it's a lovely aspect out of the front of the buildings, isn't it?
Yes, it is very attractive actually.
And when you were doing this, you said there was not much government support, but did you have support and advice from maybe other people?
Yes, I had Bill Hines up at Balagary. He'd done it before, and I had a lot of advice from him, and it's him really that gave us the inspiration to go ahead with it.
Oh, that's very good.
Yes.
So, and what were can you remember some of the points that he sort of pointed out to you that you're glad you were reminded of?
Well, he was pointing out the pitfalls that you can run into, what to keep an eye for, and what have you. And the utility building was especially important.
What was that?
Where the washing machines and dryers for the changeover on the Saturday, we installed that and stored everything in there.
That's quite I've seen that. That's quite a remarkable inclusion, isn't it? Tell us a bit about what's in there.
Well, there's an industrial washing machine and a dryer and a boiler, and the storage for all the sheets and blankets and spares and everything like.
Yeah, so it makes the work easier on a weekend.
Yes.
Raymond, I can hear your phone ringing, and that's probably another booking coming in, and I do wish you every success. It's been a tremendous venture that you've embarked on. Now you'll be looking for business, no doubt, but you'll have planned this out very, very carefully.
Yes, we've gone on the internet, and since we're on the internet, we're getting a lot of inquiries coming in, and we've had inquiries as far as France and Spain, and we're hoping to fill it 12 months of the year, actually.
So here we are on one of the most traditional Manx farms here at Colooneys. You've described it from 1935 up till 2003, and it's changing dramatically, isn't it, again?
Yes, well, everything has changed. We used to milk in cow sheds with the milk machines, the bucket, and then we moved into a milking parlour. And now we've got to move into tourism to just keep the farm floating.
Well, Raymond, and to Vivian as well, who's somewhere floating around here, seeing the visitors already arriving, can I wish you every success in your venture, and thank you very, very much for taking the time in this busy silage day to come and talk to me.
That's all right. It's been interesting.
Thank you, Raymond. Now, just as I was leaving Raymond, coming out onto the farmyard, I met three people, in fact. Deborah and Darren Twist must be some of the first visitors, some of the first occupants of these holiday cottages. Deborah, you first. How did you find the Isle of Man?
I thought it was lovely. It was really picturesque. Yeah, we really liked it. We went right round the island in the car, and yeah, we really had a good time.
And what about here at Colooneys in these holiday cottages?
Oh, it was lovely. It was really peaceful.
Peaceful.
Yeah.
Even the silence chopper going out
Yeah,
behind.
we didn't hear that. We didn't hear that.
Didn't hear it?
No, we didn't hear it for night or anything. When
Right.
We were there.
So what do you call? Are you town dwellers?
We live in Southport, by the sea. in
Right.
Southport.
Right.
But when I was a baby, I came here 30 years ago. So I brought my daughter, who's the same age as I was, 30 years
Oh,
on.
well done. Well done. Darren, how have you found the cottages here? Are they all you expected?
Oh yeah, and more than absolutely beautiful.
Right.
Yeah.
What's the main feature? What do you think is the thing that would make you come back again?
Well, you can just make yourself at home. You're left to it. You can do as you please, really. And oh yeah, the food was a bonus. We've been well looked after. We've been well looked after.
Now, I was privileged to go around these a few days ago. They are very, very well appointed, aren't they?
Definitely, yeah. Everything's there that you need.
Yeah.
You're not stuck for anything. It's great.
So, will you come back again?
We'd love to. Yeah, given the opportunity, we'll certainly be back. And if we know of anyone who's coming to the Isle of Man, we'll certainly.
Well, that's the way.
We'll
to spread
certainly
it,
mention
isn't it?
Colooneys. Yeah.
Deborah, if I could come back to you, you were telling me earlier why you came at this particular time, because you've got a little girl with you.
Yeah, with Isabel, she's 1 on Saturday, so it would be exactly the same date I came, as I say, 30 years ago. But we're taking Isabel back for her birthday tomorrow because we bought her a swing. So we wanted to have a day on a swing. If we could have brought it with us, we would have done.
I think it's important as well that you haven't found that and I mean, there's a busy day here in Colooneys. They're making silage today. That hasn't interfered with your holiday in any way at all, has it? It's
No, it's really peaceful. You don't notice any noise at all. No.
Right.
No.
And the setting here really is quite nice, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
very well laid out.
And Mrs. Teale leaves loads of really nice food, like butter and bread and milk.
And the freshest milk you can get.
Oh, that's straight off the farm.
Yeah, that's beautiful. That. Yeah.
Well done. I'm glad to get that plug in for Manx dairy farmers. But Darren, Deborah and your little girl Isabel,
Yeah, Isabel.
yeah, thank you very, very much. Are you dashing for your boat now?
No, we're not sailing till 8 o'clock, so we're going to have a look at the Douglas shops.
Oh, right. That'll not be quite so peaceful as up here.
No.
Anyway, thank you very, very
Thanks
much.
very
It's been a
much.
privilege to talk to some of Vivian and Raymond's first customers.
Thanks
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thank you.